Welcome to the BleedRedblacks Podcast with your hosts Mike, Colin, Shinin, and Santino. Produced by Mark and Johnny Z. BleedRedblacks starts now.
Hey, welcome to BleedRedblacks Season 3, Episode 9er. Mike's calling this one the companion show.
I like
How
that.
adorbs.
I know, eh? It's a good companion. It's
just-
a friend along the way.
It's just going to be just someone to keep you occupied and warm and whatever else companions do.
I stole it from Joe Rogan, which he calls his offshoot shows of the Joe Rogan podcast, the Fight Companion Show. So
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, well, as you can hear, season ticket holder Mike is in the house for consecutive weeks. He's finally relaxed and is able to spend some time at home. So that's like quite a luxury. Like you must be missing the little mini soaps and
I'm gonna
the 5 a.m. wake up calls.
Can I be straight up honest? I steal all those soaps and bring them home. I'm that cheap. Like I am so cheap that I make sure they pack. They bring a new soap and new shampoo every single day, and I bring it home.
So you're pretty much Ross on Friends then. That one episode where they just keep loading up, and it's not.
Like, where are we going with this? Yes, I'm that guy.
See, the key
Absolutely.
is you bring the soap in the shower, get it warm and malleable. Then every day you just keep packing them together and go home with a softball.
That's
Boom,
not
right?
even better. You know what
Just
I'm
saying.
thinking?
Just saying.
I know. I'm cheap though. That's how I work. It's a sickness.
The companion show, the idea is to like expedite this, right? Like I don't know if this is working so well.
Welcome to
Santino. What's up?
How's it going?
And Janine is here last minute. That's always awesome to see you.
Thanks.
Regardless.
Yeah, well, back in the Northern Hemisphere, and good to be back in studio.
We will not be serving guinea pig tonight.
Aw, come on. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. Sorry to all the pet owners out there.
Never be able to watch that Hammy the Hamster TV show on TVO again
Oh,
the same way. I look at it, it's like a meal for Christ's sake.
Man. Remember those, what were those dolls that look like little crazy animals? Like Boggles or...
Beanie Babies?
No. Sorry.
I don't know.
Hand puppet ones?
Yeah.
Hand puppets.
Weren't they like, Boggles or something like
Boggles.
that?
Anyways, moving right along. Companion show. Riveting stuff here. I hope you guys are getting pumped for the game. Okay, turbo intro. Olympics are finally over. We could probably have a whole episode on the Olympics. So, let's just do around the horn real quick. One quick line. I'm going to start. I now have 3 favorite pennies. Penny number 1, obviously Penny, cartoon from Pee-wee's
Inspector
Playhouse.
Gadget? Oh.
No,
pretty good, too.
computer book Penny is 2, and then now Canadian swimmer Penny number 3. So pennies are all right with me.
I don't know. I'll watch it again maybe in 4 years. Who knows? I don't know. If it's on, it's on. It's
Really big impact to your life.
Yeah, huge. I mean, good for them. I know a guy shit himself while he was walking. I think that was the highlight for me. I had a laugh and then put baseball back on. So
I mean, all
next?
these aspiring race walkers, right? That's got to be a real kick in the nads, you know?
Race walkers. That's good. Walk for that black and white cookie. You know what I mean?
I'll just say shout out to Erica Weeb because I knew her from high school and I'm still in touch with her. So it was really cool seeing someone
right
that I know from high school win a gold medal.
Awesome.
Right on.
Yeah.
And I'll just say shout out to those Canadian women who
Dominated.
they dominated. They propped us up until Andre DeGrasse got the men their first medal. So I was pretty proud of our
Andre DeGrasse?
girls.
Never heard of him.
And
He's on Degrassi, yeah.
Oh, that was Drake.
Yeah. We actually, Johnny Z and I was telling him about Joey Jeremiah today. We're talking about fedoras, and he's like, who the hell's Joey Jeremiah? And I'm like, dude, if I had an hour, I could explain to you who he is.
Wheels?
Okay, that's another hour.
You don't know any
okay?
of this? Oh, man.
That's okay.
Kids got AIDS on TV, man. I swear to God.
Teenage
I
pregnancy?
cried that episode. No one would dance with Dwayne when he told them he had HIV. That's like huge.
Huge.
I mean, I never went to another high school dance.
No, I didn't. I never danced again. I was off dancing after that. Straight up.
All right, let's blast into something, and then we're gonna come back and do a little, just call it Hankgate, quarterback. Some people say controversy, whatever.
Non-controversy.
Ooh, save it for the show, bud. Oh wait. All right, let's roll into something and come back and talk about Hank. And now, producer Mark reads football tweets, even though he has no idea what he's talking about.
Hey, the offensive linemen are the biggest guys on the field. They're bigger than everybody else, and that's what makes them the biggest guys on the field. Henry Burris usually likes to soak his balls before any rainy game. Soak 'em long, soak 'em hard.
He wants the Red Blacks to win just like I do, and sometimes tough decisions have to be made.
All right, well, that says it all. We all love Hank, but let's open up a little conversation here, and let's start with you, season ticket holder Mike. Let's start with Hank Gate here.
I guess, it's like we got to ask a couple of questions. One of them is, in that war of words he had with TSN, who gets the last word now? You know what I mean? Like that's kind of like the thought process if you're him, because you went out there, you showed a little ego. What's next?
I don't know. I don't think there's really. Like, I think it's over. Like I think that specific conflict anyway. I don't think either one of them will go there again. I think they all saw kind of the pros and cons of talking the way they did.
Yeah, I don't expect anyone to make any more public comments, but I do think it kind of creates the perception now around the league for fans from other teams especially that Burris couldn't kind of back up his talk, and that TSN kind of did get the last word in that sense, I guess, but just because he's benched now. But we can get more into that in a minute. But
okay, so he went 21 for 31 last game,
Mm-hmm.
and so does Burris start this week if our defense actually shows up last week and we win 19-10?
Question is, how confident was the wide receiver group with him? I mean, that's some of it too, you know? I don't know. I saw a team that didn't really have a lot of gel.
I think that's part of it. I don't know. I think since Burris has been back, he's definitely been a lot better with the deep ball, at least like in the last couple of games. Like I think he hit Payton a couple times. He seemed to show some chemistry there. He hit Williams. But I really don't think he was set up to have a lot of success because obviously like he's not healthy. His pinky is still extremely weird. I saw it at the QB club yesterday. And to me, if you know your quarterback still has an injured hand, and Montreal is just pressuring the QB the way they were, like why as an offensive coordinator would you only call 6 runs all game long?
Yeah, and you said it, 85 to 90% quotes almost healed. We call that pinky gate as far as I'm concerned, because that puts some doubt in the mind of Brock Jensen. I mean, that really says something about what you feel about your third string quarterback if you're letting Henry play at his version of 85% healthy. So
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit. I obviously wasn't at the game last week because I was traveling for work, so I can't contribute too much to what was happening on the field. But we did talk about that, his first game back, and all the hype about how he was really close to 100%, and then now you're hearing that kind of backpedaling about 80 to 90% or whatever it was. And I still stand by what I said a few weeks ago about, put in Brock Jensen in a couple of these games. Let him get the experience, and maybe you're not in the situation that we're finding ourselves in now.
Yeah, because if Burris wasn't healthy, in the end he ended up going 1-3, and I think probably Brock Jensen could have got 1-3. You would have avoided this whole QB controversy, and you would have given Burris more time to heal. Because when Harris was finally healthy, you just throw him back in, and you say Burris still isn't healthy.
And obviously, they liked what they saw from Jensen because Danny O is now scratched moving forward, and Brock is now that player who will be dressing every week. So that says something. And I think we did see. I saw a lot of stuff that I liked out of Brock, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I was asking the question: does the age and experience of Henry Burris help this transition? And I'm saying that because would a younger QB with the same talent create more noise around this situation with Trevor Harris?
I think without a doubt, Henry's experience is an asset, and I know Trevor Harris and Henry Burris are both saying the right things, and they're talking about how supportive they are of one another. But I actually really do believe that that's a genuine feeling, particularly on Trevor Harris's part. And there's no doubt that you can learn from a guy like Hank, even if he's on the sidelines holding a clipboard. That man's experience, what he's gone through, how he's led various different teams is just going to help Trevor Harris.
I think that you mentioned age of experience of Henry. I think the age and experience of his teammates, that all correlates with that as well. And I think, a prime example was the O-line struggling last week. And I think if they're thinking about other things and they're not focused on their task, may actually be the reason why there was more drops than normal last week. I think we counted 7 or something.
We lost count at one point.
Yeah, and
it was guys you weren't expecting to drop the ball, right? Like Brad Sinopoli had drops. Chris Williams, well, I guess you could argue that maybe you were expecting that because he's a little bit inconsistent sometimes. But seeing a guy like Sinopoli and Ellingson have drops, those are guys who usually don't drop the ball.
Ellingson finished without a catch, am I correct?
Yeah, without a catch, and 2 targets.
I just
catches.
wonder, your prep for the week. I mean, I feel like most good teams prep for multiple weeks, and there's plans in place. It's like playing chess, not checkers. And when you're doing a week by week, I think it really does reel everything in a little bit. And I think this transition, like since we're rolling with our new guy, I think that moving forward, we're going to be able to start looking, I'm not saying looking ahead, but progressing the offense anyway, as opposed to the kind of regression that we're seeing right now.
That goes back to the Brock Jensen discussion. I mean,
Right.
you have Brock Jensen start those games, and Bob's your uncle right now. You're not even.
He
it's
built
not
some
enough
chemistry,
discussion.
right?
And you find out what he's worth because he's been in the stable now for how long? And now, you'd know now, and he'd have trade value worth after 3 games. Hello. But, I say that, yet the GMs have made some great moves. So, that's why I'm sitting in a basement.
So I mean, everyone keeps throwing around the word controversy, okay? So controversy is defined as an argument that involves many people who strongly disagree about something. So, I don't know. I'm pretty sure we're all in agreement that we want the best player to play. We're all in agreement that, Harris is that guy. So, I mean, by definition, this is not a controversy.
Enough is enough!
Yeah, I would argue
Straight
it's a QB non-controversy, right? Everyone around the league is talking about how this can't work. Burris is going to get pissed off. He's got an ego. He didn't handle being benched well in Calgary or in Hamilton. But then again, you could argue that was in the past. He's older now. He's more mature. He's come out and said that he wants just to win now. He just wants to get back to the Grey Cup, win more championships. And I think that's something that comes with age. And I think that people do change. So maybe in the past, he wouldn't have been able to kind of handle this situation, but maybe because of what he's gone through, he's more equipped to handle it now. And as Janine said, I do really kind of believe that though, of course, they're saying what you expect them to say in the media, I do believe that they actually believe the things they're saying.
From a management standpoint, they're obviously very happy that they have this controversy compared to Hank is down. Is Danny O'Brien or Brock Jensen going to lead us? And then they're like, why didn't you set up this team properly? They're pretty much screwed either way. So obviously, if they need to have and I'm using air metal quotes, controversy, this is the one they would choose, obviously. Like there's nothing really else to say as far as that term. I mean,
well, and I mean, I think it's probably deeply satisfying for everybody who saw us sign Harris in the off season and who right away went to this means controversy in Ottawa. So this storyline is playing out the way that the people who don't necessarily support our team and who wanted to see the storyline, that's how it's playing out.
Number one storyline in SportsCenter last night. QB controversy in Ottawa.
Yeah.
And they've been pushing that narrative since Harris signed, literally since the day he signed. When's he going to take over? When's the controversy? How's Hank going to react? The team's going to explode. That's exactly how it's been being pushed.
Instead of the story being pushed that this is a great move by a GM that's building a team that's going to make it back, that wants desperately to make it back to the Grey Cup, that wants to put itself in a position to win. To me, that's always been the storyline. That's still the storyline. That's why Harris is getting the start, because right now he's the best chance for this team, not one quarterback, but this team to move forward.
Especially when you take into account that Burris still isn't healthy. So obviously Harris was playing at an unbelievable level. He was the best quarterback in the league before he got hurt. But then when you factor in the fact that Hank's not healthy, he's not.
Well, like you said, his finger's sticking out like a kickstand on your BMX.
Exactly. Like I met him at the QB club last night. I shook his hand. I saw it. I couldn't even believe he could throw a ball with a hand like that.
He shook your hand and scratched his ear at the same time.
Exactly. If he was standing at center field looking at Cheapskate Hill, he'd be pointing right up to my seats on the south side.
That's amazing. But when you say that, it goes back to the mantra, and he's being that mature 41-year-old. Bless his heart.
I like those.
To be 41. My God, to be 41.
Definitely doesn't look as good as the 40-year-olds I get surrounded with every week. That's for sure.
Hey, you're sandwiched between a couple of them right now, right?
Hey, it's a pretty nice place. I got to be honest.
2 months away from 40. Careful, boys. 2 months away.
Sorry, Dollface. You look great for 39.
Well, you know what, though, Janine? That means 2 months away from the Ninja Turtle party. So.
Yay!
It's win-win, right?
I got to get that in there, though. The QB mantra, it's a good room, and that's what they keep saying, and it goes back to where we were talking about. Let's see Harris. We sat down in this basement like 5 weeks ago talking about how he was a monster and he was on fire. Let's just see him get back into his pace, and it's a hungry BC team on Thursday night, and we are going to be desperate for a win. So let's see Harris pick it up for us.
Sounds good.
That's a hell of a game to come back to, right? Because like BC is not just like a cupcake team. It's not like you're coming back against Saskatchewan. Like BC's got arguably one of the best defenses in the league. I know they got pasted last week, but typically they're very strong. They get after the quarterback. So like to me, if you already as like Marcel Desjardins or Rick Campbell, and you know that Burris is kind of banged up, like to me, you don't even risk Harris at all if you're not 100% sure that he's completely healthy.
Opening line was plus 2.5, so it's close. It's tight. I bet you that'll be even, maybe even by tomorrow night. So.
Depends how much cash you throw on it tonight.
Yeah, we'll see, man.
You want to move those lines? Call Johnny Sanchez, see if he can move those lines for us.
I was talking to Johnny. Never mind, that's another podcast. But I did cash out on Friday, both my over and the plus 9.5.
God bless gambling.
Yeah, God bless gambling. I drank it all the way.
Degen's gonna degen.
By 2:00 when I was Ubering home, that money was gone.
Thank God.
In the moon room. It was at the moon room. I left it at the moon room.
It's a good place to leave it. It's a good place to leave
there.
it. Good sidecar.
All right, that was awesome, dudes. So in conclusion,
I know we can win with both Henry and Trevor, and I know our young guys are going to get to a place too where we can win with them.
love it. Let's go on to some game preview.
Awesome.
Sometimes you have to put on your tinfoil hat to stop the mind control rays. You have to think outside the box to understand some of those calls. It must have been Bigfoot who interfered with that pass. I'm not saying the Grey Cup was an inside job, but who wants to work outside in a Winnipeg winter? They're all wearing watermelons on their heads in Regina, and I'm not sure why. Jimmy Hoffa, he's alive. He updates the statistics on the CFL website. The Conspiracy Football League. Who needs reality when you can make shit up?
All right, game preview. So we need a big win this week. It's a Thursday nighter. We love our Thursday night games. Nothing like going to TD Place on a Thursday.
Love that little hashtag TNF.
TNF, growing that brand.
Gotta grow it.
Can't wait.
Are we talking the way here? Is it FNF -1 or
That's a good
WNF
hash.
+1?
Yeah, it's Wednesday night football, 6:00 start in Toronto +1. So we're ready. I'll be there. I'll be there with bells on.
Sounds
Damn.
amazing. All right, let's talk about a little offense. And Santino made a little bit of reference to this earlier, but our O-line has been looking porous, to say the least. And the coach has made a bunch of shakeups at practice this week as far as personnel goes. And obviously, he's well aware the Lions are second in the CFL in sacks and have an amazing defense. And we don't want our QB coming back and have to see him pick his ass up off the field the whole frigging game. I mean, is there any scenario, I just want to ask you guys, is there ever a scenario where a holding penalty is actually better than a sack?
I'm going to say yes, and I know that Jermichael Dean agrees with me.
Boom. So I put that one on a T for you. I knew I could count on you. All right. What are you thinking there, Mr. Smith?
If you got to have that short-term memory, you got to erase all those mistakes you made. You got to get right out past that. Forget the poor performance. Forget about those drop balls. Get on with the task at hand. Can we establish a running game again? Or something? No? I don't know. Maybe.
I wasn't going to answer that question.
Answer something. Tell me
Oh,
something.
well, I was just going to say. I was just going to
Answer me something.
Sorry, I didn't realize you were going to ask a question right away. I'm sorry, Mike. I was at that
Hey,
infamous
Jeanette,
game.
you've been away for a couple of weeks or what, bud?
Just one. I was remember that game against the Calgary Stampeders last year in Calgary where we got our asses kicked 45-3. I remember because I was there with Deb laughing at me the entire time. But we bounced back from that. Because we did exactly what you're just talking about now, Mike. Like put it in the past, short-term memory. Absolutely, we can bounce back from what happened against Montreal. I have no concerns about that.
That's one thing that Bleed Red Blacks definitely bring to the table. Short-term memory loss, not a problem.
Absolutely. My whole career is based on it. I forgot what happened 10 minutes ago. Perfect.
When'd you get here?
Exactly.
Going back to your point, Mike, about running, I agree that we got to pound the ball because BC has some studs on defense and we got to wear them down. And actually on TSN 1200 this morning, Marcel Desjardins mentioned that he thought our offense was kind of sitting back and playing a little bit too passive, specifically the offensive line. And so he said he wanted them to be more aggressive, like calling more run plays and having a better balance because last week we had 6 runs to 37 passes, and that's kind of just unacceptable. And yeah, with Van back, he's shifty and dangerous, and LaFrance can be like hammer.
Yeah, and I was gonna say you talk about you got to stop that BC Lions defense, and like Solomon Elimenian.
Can you say that again?
Never. That's the first. I got a short term memory. I don't remember who I was talking about.
3 times fast.
Solomon Elimenian needs to be contained basically, and if you're running the ball up the gut, you got to keep your eye out for this guy. He tears up a lot of offensive lines. Number 56 for the BC Lions basically has been ripping it up this season. He had 11 tackle performance against Calgary. I mean, he was on the field for a lot, but he still had gas in the tank. He's a beast.
He's a beast, yeah.
Scary. I'd like to have him on our team.
Absolutely.
So, speaking of defense.
Alrighty.
Ottawa defense.
So I don't want to do this. We're all a big fan, but Antoine Pruneau is trending downward. And I don't think there's anything really wrong with this guy. One thing that Mike and I both noticed in the game where our DBs were taking very aggressive lines after the catch and basically forcing themselves to catch up with these guys as opposed to taking more conservative angles. And I think that really added up the yak that we gave up last game.
Yeah, we got to cut the yak.
Absolutely.
That's yards after catch, right?
Ask Rod.
Yak yards.
Yak yards. YOLO live once, Rod.
Yards after catch yards.
But who's Yak Yard's father, though?
Steve Tasker.
That's the real question.
Mr. Yards.
So I'm basically saying, and I talked about this with you, Santino, you got to do anything you can to bring these guys down. I think our defense will get lit up against JJ, both JJs, but the QB is very mobile. And there may be a lot of scramble situations. Broken plays and play actions are exactly when the defense needs to be disciplined.
Yeah, and build on the fact that the defensive line didn't have so much of a bad game versus Montreal. I mean, they weren't terrible, they weren't great, but the defensive line still showed up. Follow what Coach Campbell, as he said in the post game, when emotions are high after a loss like last week, he said, "Don't get hung up on the negative and want to change everything." And I think that goes back to you got to have a short memory. And on the defensive side of the ball, you got to look at the positives. And some of those positives were Zach Evans had a great game. He got a little taste of the sack lunch. And so did Hopkins, which Hopkins' sack was one of my favorites of the year so far because he basically bowled over a guy and fell on the quarterback.
Yeah, Connor Williams had 2 sacks as well. Both were pretty nice.
Yes, and that's what I mean. So that's part of that idea that we had some positive aspects to a game that felt pretty rough. And I bet you that's what happens in the room. If you're in that room, the coach is pointing at the defensive line, see these guys showed up, let's do what they did last week. So
yeah, he definitely wasn't pointing at D block because they got lit up. Because heading into last week's game versus Montreal, we'd only given up 7 passing touchdowns all season, and Glenn had 5. And as you guys kind of already talked about, Jonathan Jennings is a monster, and we can't let him just get loose and get into a rhythm. Jonathan Rose is back starting at DB. Maybe that's a potential game breaker because he was playing extremely well before he was pulled out of the lineup. And yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Jennings is absolutely a monster and probably one of the funnest quarterbacks to watch right now. But he does also have a tendency to, you put enough pressure on the guy and he'll rush his throw.
Yeah, he'll force
He's
the throw.
still learning. He's still he sometimes fights. He has the urge not to sit back in the pocket and check out what he can get done. So I think if we can keep that pressure on defense, Jennings is the kind of guy that's going to rush his pass.
So I ask you guys, is now the time to implement more an aggressive strategy on D then? Do we make him beat us with his arm and blitz and give him lots of weird looks? Or do we just play conservative D? I'm not sure. After last week, I'm kind of up for anything, to be honest.
I'm it's funny because I was giving a lot of credit where credit was due with BC, so I feel kind of like, I've been watching them a lot this year.
Mm-hmm.
What Janin said about Jennings, he doesn't understand how to roll out of the pocket. He's not a very good yet, and he'll figure it out because all quarterbacks do, but that bootleg option, that idea that he can get out.
He's not good at throwing it on the run, but he's very good at scrambling and breaking out of the pocket and taking off.
So once he gets out, that's what's scary. But maybe a little bit more of that outside blitz from somebody on the outside. Like even if you're doing secondary blitz, maybe force him to make plays on his weak side.
Yeah.
I just know at a few occasions this year, Winnipeg has, they confused Mike Riley just by dropping back and giving them looks late and kind of setting up the same way every play and then adjusting once the ball is snapped and forcing him to open his eyes and look around first. And I mean, it's working in Winnipeg. You know, their defense is really playing awesome. And I'm no coach, but I'm always up for moving forward and trying new things for sure. All right, special teams just don't suck. So I got to be honest, like, I'm on the fence with Milo. I'll say it again. Okay, that's not what I meant to say. I will say it before and I will say it again and again. It's time for the old boys club to swallow their pride. Easy for me to say. Wow. Mark, did I do a shot of that dill pickle vodka before I started reading this?
No, because Saskatchewan didn't win.
Oh, right. Okay, sorry. So, let me try this again. It's time for the old boys club to swallow their pride and start going for 2 every time. The math is easy. Unless Milo is perfect on extra points, we only need to make 51% of 2-point conversions to come out on top. And obviously, there are certain situations where you would kick the, time expired and you're tied or whatever.
And as of this week, the league average for teams going for 2 points is 58%.
And what's the league average for extra points?
88%.
Math. How do you deny it?
No,
I don't get it. It's simple. And we're not like, whatever, rocket...
Scientists?
Yeah, something.
It doesn't take rocket appliances to realize.
Right, we're not rocket appliances. All right.
80 yards and penalties.
What are you gonna do?
That's just dumb that down as in any math form you have, and you can't win a ball game. And the other thing that goes back to what you said about Milo, I think it's time to look at our options. Maybe I'm not sure. It's brutal. And I asked last week, would Montreal work on any special teams trickery plays? Well, we should have a few up our sleeve too this week, because if this game gets away from us, we might have to look at other options to score points as well. So
yeah, and the other thing to keep in mind is we should bring our umbrella to this game because the Rain Man is in town. So Chris Rainey is one of the
producer of our show.
Yeah, exactly. So Chris Rainey is one of the best in the business at what he does, and we can't have him flipping field position all game long. We got lit up last week by Stefan Logan on the Alouettes. He had a couple of huge returns. Actually, Tristan Jackson on our end also had a very solid night returning, but Montreal pretty much like flipped field position all night long because our punter was hammering the ball, but he would hit like a 55-yard punt and it would get returned 40 yards. So like the field position was terrible for us all game.
We ran into a lot of that with when the mayor was in town. He didn't have that high arcing punt that you see a lot. So
real line driver.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's blast in a little bumper. We're gonna do a turbo. You want to just go right to turbo rant?
Yeah, sure.
All right, let's do it. Boom, no bumper. Turbo rant. Let's do it.
Let's do a turbo rant.
Stop the press. Might as well call the CFL regular season now, because to listen to national media tell it, now that quarterback Zach Collaros has returned, the Hamilton Tiger Cats are head and shoulders above the rest of the East Division and will be runaway winners of it. Never mind the fact that Ottawa is currently ahead of them in the standings. Never mind the fact that the Red Blacks swept the Ticats last season, kicking their ass not once, but 3 times. And never mind the fact that the Red Blacks will only be getting healthier down the stretch, with guys like Nolan McMillan and Jarrell Gavins returning. Nope, never mind any of that stuff, because last week, when the Ticats took on Saskatchewan, Collaros threw for 5 touchdowns against a toothless green-white defense. Yes, the Ticats pummeling Saskatchewan 53-7 was impressive, but let's not overlook the fact that the Green Whites are 1-7 on the year for a reason. Since when was beating up the smallest and weakest kid at school suddenly a measure of how tough you are? I'm not trying to deny that Collaros' return isn't a huge boon for a Ticat team that was inconsistent at best with Masoli under center, but if memory serves, Hamilton has yet to play Ottawa this year. In fact, I'm pretty sure right before the season ends, we'll have a chance to get reacquainted with them up close and personal. And those 2 games, in my mind, will decide the Eastern Division winners. So let's hold off on crowning the Ticats now, shall we?
Agreed.
I'm with you, buddy. I'm with you. I used to have a soft spot for the Ticats just because I had the unfortunate privilege of living in Hamilton for years.
That's where you learn to breathe through your mouth, eh?
Still working on it. Anyways. But yeah, I don't have it anymore. I mean, they're not really an easy team to like right now. So yeah, I'm with you. Let's just chill.
I've always been a big fan of Zach Collaros, but I think to me it's more fan driven than team driven. I still have a bit of a soft spot for the Hamilton Tiger Cats as a team. I've kind of had enough with the hype that the media and the fan bases are throwing behind this. And I just think, you know what, maybe we need to accept that this is our biggest rivalry. Maybe we're just setting up a real big, mean rivalry in the East between the Ticats and Ottawa. And maybe we just need to start rolling with that a little more.
I think part of it goes back to Hamilton does have a large fan base because Toronto, I think you have a lot of CFL fans that were on the edge in Ontario that took a lot of time away from being Argos fans and became Hamilton fans as that team grew, got a new stadium, things started looking a little brighter on their side of the picture. So it's easier to sell papers and get clickbait if you're talking about Hamilton versus Toronto. Unless you're talking about Toronto's attendance, then nobody's going to listen, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of these bloggers and podcasters in that area, they want to clickbait. So they're gonna say what they can to get us angry.
Same thing could be said for Ottawa. I think I think that's why they are getting a lot more attention as well, and writers from other towns talking about our team as well. And it makes sense in that regard for sure.
Yeah.
And I think, there were some dark years in Hamilton. There was a lot of tough years to be a Hamilton Tiger Cats fan.
Oh, I thought you were just talking about the city.
with the team. And, the last few years they've been contenders. They've been up there all along. And 2 years in a row, they went to the show and they didn't quite make it. They're hungry. So again, it's a storyline that's being fed by a lot of different players. And maybe it's just time that we say, okay, that's the story.
And we are the new kids on the block, literally.
And everybody's going to hate us for that.
And who else?
My voice, I'm Joey McIntyre for sure.
I got Joey's hair, so you take.
I'm a soprano though. Sorry, bud.
There was Joey, Donnie, Danny, Jordan, and there's one.
Zach Caleros.
And Zach Caleros.
Look at the beads of sweat rolling down her forehead right now. Awesome. Hey, you didn't hear us making fun of you with Logan Kilgore last week?
I heard the podcast. I listened to you guys in Peru. That's how much I love you.
That download.
At least we know 7 people. At least 7 people listen.
That South American download was me.
It's weird though because it was coming every day. Thanks for. Did you put a bot in your hotel room? That's amazing. Perfect. All right, let's roll into a little bumper and we'll come back with a quick little outro.
Laugh number 17, the wholehearted chuckle. Laugh number 61, the mouth fart. Laugh number 23, the snortle. Laugh number 37, the pretentious yacht club. Oh. Laugh number 49, the producer Mark.
The preceding laughter has been brought to you by the BleedRedblacks Podcast. Find us at BleedRedblacks on Twitter and Instagram, and on Facebook, Facebook.com/BleedRedblacks. As per Mark's instructions, outro the shit out of this. That's what we'll do our best. Thanks, Mark. Always inspiring, bud. You really lead the locker room here.
Words of wisdom from the production room.
There's no producer controversy around here, that's for sure. Like if Mark needs to go down, Johnny step up. It's all good, man, right? That's how we do it in here, right?
It's a good room. It's
definitely a good room.
It's a good producer room.
And we know Mark's leadership will carry Johnny along, right? Johnny
Have you
Corsi.
seen Mark's finger? Man,
oh, yeah. I don't know how he clicks that mouse.
Depends
how he clicks that mouse.
Johnny, how many hours sleep did you get last night?
Are you serious?
Good thing this isn't a video podcast.
Never mess with the guy that has the drops.
So home game tomorrow. TNF in Ottawa. Yeah, Thursday night brand. Gotta love it.
Yeah, it makes it super tough to tailgate.
Yeah, awesome. It'll be a really nice, sober game. So it'll be like going to a funeral again, like last week.
Thursday roast is the best.
Thursday roast, you know what those are? Chicken fingers, some Sobeys on your way home.
Yeah.
To be honest, they're usually 50% off by that point. So, it's only $9 for fake chicken.
I got to get home to watch Fraser.
Oh, God. Oh, that Lilith. She needs an attitude adjustment. What up with the cheer calendar? Did you go check that out? Or
I went over to the casino last week to check out the calendar launch. And that was a pretty cool event. It was $20 to get in. That got you some finger food and stuff, and then a copy of the calendar, and then they kind of had a fashion show.
Was the finger sideways?
It was, actually, just in honor of Burris.
Broken finger food.
But it was funny, because I went with a friend. I met Southside Pete there, and Glenn.
Amazing.
We were, I think, the only 4 people who were, fans who went. and not friends or family members of the cheer team, because we were the only 4 that didn't get the memo that it was a formal event. So we were everyone was in like suits and like evening gowns and stuff, and we were there in shorts, Red Blacks like Southsider shirts or jerseys, and that was it.
Love it.
But anyways, it was an awesome night. It was really cool. The team was awesome. It was good to meet them and kind of interact. And yeah, they'll be selling their calendars at all the home games for $20, and that helps them go to the Grey Cup in Toronto.
Amazing.
I gotta say, we're friends of OSEG, great people. They're all awesome. Communications folks, like, can we get a little bit more heads up on some of these events? Like,
yeah, no kidding.
I think I saw it on Twitter 2 nights, and maybe I'm wrong, but I didn't see it anywhere until.
Has there been a change at communications at OSEG? Do you guys know? It seems a lot different from me this year. Even interaction on Twitter, I know we mentioned this. Everything seems a bit different, and I'm not sure. Maybe strategies have changed, but I haven't had the interaction at all that I have in years past, and I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah, if there was a communications change, they didn't tell us about it.
Boom.
Nice. That was the memo that they forgot to communicate. But
next week's your last show, right, Santino?
Pretty much, yeah.
Get him in while you can, bud.
Exactly.
Hey, Mark, got any Brazilian crickets in there, man?
Brazilian crickets.
The crazy ones.
Wait, is next week your last show?
Yeah.
Oh no. Maybe we need to have a Ninja Turtle party for that too.
Yes.
We'll see. There you go.
But I'm on the same page as you, Colin. I just one more last on that is if they can give us like 2 weeks notice on some of these things, that helps me.
Yeah.
I'm a busy guy. I need time to pick out a pair of
an evening
cutoff
gown.
jeans.
An evening gown.
Oh, evening gown. Let me tell you something. I got the latest Vanity Fair. My God, the fall collection looks great.
And the thing, it was a great event, but just there was like really like not a lot of people, like a lot of friends and family of the cheer team members, but then just like the 4 of us in terms of fans. And I think that would have been an awesome event for more people to come out to. And I'm sure next year it'll be bigger. But yeah, as you said, like I only found out about it a couple of days beforehand as well. So
I would like to think that we're in the know. If anything's happening, we should know. But it kind of feels like it's a little more confusing this year. So I know priorities have shifted. I was told by an unnamed staff that their focus is heavy 67s this year. They're really trying to rebuild that fan base.
Bleeding cash.
Like Hunt said, it's not everything at OSEG's making money. But with that being said, I mean, don't forget about the football guys, we're a loyal bunch, and we're here for you. So we need you guys to be here for us. That's all I'm saying. And lastly, Janine will be on the BC Lions Dead podcast tonight. What's up, Brian? And for the small cost of 1 retweet. So that's it. That's all. That's a pretty good deal, I thought. So hopefully.
There's a joke about how cheap I am in there, but I'm going to hold it back.
I'm a cheap guy here.
Well,
I'm so cheap that I won't even turn on the Skype to go on that call tonight. And thank you for taking the call. Because I feel like if I would have been on that show, I've been so pro BC Lions all year that I'd just go on the show and take it over. I'd be like, well, welcome to the Mike Smith
bromance with Jonathan Jennings over here.
With Jonathan Jennings. Do you know if I can get his autograph when he's in town? Like
you got those.
Totally
that paw tramp stamp you got. It's more appropriate.
I'm gonna tell you something. After it was changed from my Pisces symbol to a paw, like I did the over.
Attention to skyrocketed.
It's different. It's different now. It's a totally different feeling down there with my partners.
Well, I think he hit the nail on the definitely hit the nail on the head. That's for sure.
We definitely outroed the shit out of this.
Right.
As requested. Hey,
outroed the
shit
shit
dudes,
out of it.
You know what?
Give us some dirty drops and we're out.
We are your companions for the game.
Get out.
Awesome. Have fun.
That's all I got to say.
Thank you for stopping by on this week's episode of the Bleed Red Blacks podcast. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Bleed Red Blacks, or like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Bleed Red Blacks podcast.